What's going on, guys? So the topic of today's video is going to be what is the best way to stack firewood. Firewood has always been a part of my life. I remember when I was a young boy, I'd always be outside helping my father split and stack firewood. And now, as an adult, we use it to heat our house and help supplement our heating bills, which we use a gas furnace and try not to run that thing whenever we don't have to, so we use firewood, of course. Now, the traditional American way of stacking firewood has always been somewhat of a love-hate relationship. So I call this the traditional way, where you stack it in a straight line and you do box cribbing on the ends. And the advantages, it's easy to get an idea of how much wood you have. It's very easy to measure a cord that way. However, its biggest weakness is the ends. Normally when I split my wood, I normally do it in the fall. Sometimes I do it in the winter. And the ground is normally frozen. There's permafrost on the ground. And when the spring and summertime comes around and the ground gets saturated, it's very common for the box cribbing on the end to give out and the wood stack just falls over. There used to be 2 more stacks of wood, but the box cribbing on the end gave out and all that wood pretty much fell over. So I've transitioned from the traditional American way of stacking firewood into, I believe this is the Swedish method of stacking firewood. And I believe the proper term is called a Holzhausen, also known as a wood house. And clearly the big difference is, as opposed to stacking your firewood in a straight line, you stack it in a circle and basically you make a wood house. So let's take a closer look and I'll show you basically how it works. So just a disclaimer, this is the first Holzhausen that I've ever made before, so it's not perfect, but it's pretty decent. There are some improvements that I do need to make to it. So this is the second Holzhausen that I'm making, and they are pretty simple to make. It does take a little bit of practice to get it right though. So basically the first step is to make or outline a circle with pieces of wood. I recommend at least an 8-foot diameter circle. And then basically you stack wood in a circle, and as you go up, what you need to do is you want this slightly pitched inward, and the higher up you go, the more pitched you want it. You want the wood house to basically build, or you want the wood to pile on top of itself. You want it to kind of cave in. And where I need to improve with this Holzhausen is I could have done a better job curving that wood pile in. And the idea when you curve it in, ideally you want water to shed from the top and just kind of shed off the side. I have seen people take the bark pieces of their firewood and they basically use the bark as kind of like shingles to really shed the water off the top. I've also seen other people put tarps on top of their piles, and I've seen other people just leave their pile plain without having it covered. So again, you start out with a basic circle. This one's about 8 foot in diameter. I wouldn't recommend going any smaller than this. And as you go up, as I had just mentioned, you want the wood to pitch in, which, because you're stacking it in a circle, it's going to have a tendency to pitch out. So the way you correct that is you take pieces of wood and you cross lay it like so, and that way you get the wood to pitch in. And that's why you see all these cross pieces on this already made Holzhausen. And then as for the center is a perfect spot to put pieces of wood that don't really stack well, which for the most part wood that I'm going through is pretty straight, so I don't have any gnarly or knotty wood, but that's a perfect spot for those pieces of wood to go in. And basically as you build this up, you just keep filling the middle and you keep enclosing the wood pile on itself. You see, not perfect, but does a pretty good job. And pretty much the major benefits of this, or stacking your wood in this fashion in a round circle, is it is incredibly stable. I don't think there's any chance of that wood pile going anywhere. Another kind of mistake I made with my first one is it kind of came out a little bit. Ideally you want that vertical. You don't want it to go out. If anything, you want it to go in. But I mean, this thing, really stable. Really stable. Now if I come over to this wood pile and I try and push on it, I'm sure I can get some movement out of it. See how unstable this is? Now, to be fair, traditionally when I've stacked my wood in rows like this, I have taken logs and I've kind of put them in between the piles so that way I get some cross stabilization, but still, I mean, these things just aren't super stable. As you can see, I'm trying to save this stack from toppling over. So that's pretty much all I have to say. If you guys have never tried stacking wood this way, I definitely recommend it. I think it's the best and only way to stack wood. Well, thanks for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate you hitting that thumbs up button. Also, if you're new to the channel, hey, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. Try to regularly make interesting and creative content, so definitely stay tuned. Till next time.